Which team you think biggest threat to the Celtics in the East? Is it the Knicks? Is it the Sixers?
You know, look, y'all know how I feel about big body Bronson and the New York Knicks. Did they get better with Mikal Bridges? Hell yeah. Can they go out and win a championship in the next 2 or 3 years? I strongly believe so. But the Philadelphia 76ers acquiring Paul George to pair up with a young Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, who's, when it's available, arguably the best player in the game. Look, Joel Embiid averaged 30 plus on one leg this past postseason. And when he's healthy and a guy that is rejuvenated and got a key in his back, we've seen what he's capable of doing. Ben Simmons left, Joel Embiid elevated his game. James Harden left, Joel elevated his game. Now you give him Paul George, a two-way player, a guy that doesn't need the ball in his hands. I got to give a slight edge to the 76ers right now.
I'm going to go Knicks because they beat the Sixers last year in the 6 games. Yes, no George, but no Randall for the Knicks. Keep that in mind. Bridges and George. George is a better player, and plus, Eric Gordon will help them, and they made some adjustments, Philadelphia, with their bench. Obviously, Drummond, big kid, he'll make a factor, and they lost Hartenstein, which is a huge thing for the Knicks. But I'm going to go toughness. I'm going to go toughness, resiliency, down deep, backs to the wall, scratching and clawing. I'm going to say the Knicks are still a little better challenge for the Celtics and the Philly than the Sixers are. Philly improved more than the Knicks did, but I like the Knicks' toughness, so I'll say the Knicks.
So the fit for Philly is ideal in every way. I mean, you've got a tremendous young point guard in Maxey. You've got a terrific player in Embiid who went on the court as a top 3 player in the league. And then you add Paul George to that as a perfect two-way player. The problem is, when are they all going to be on the court together? Again, George, this past year, healthy, contract year. I look before that, 4 years previous, had missed on average 40% of his games leading up to that point. We know about Embiid's problem. I look at the Knicks, though, and the Knicks made the Bridges move with the specific thought in mind of beating the Boston Celtics. This was about perimeter defense and 2 guys that could match up against Tatum and against Brown, with Anunoby and with Mikal Bridges. Now, normally you want to get that second star. I understand that. But I think the way the Knicks are constructed and the fact that they are not doing anything to mess with any of their chemistry whatsoever is going to go a long way here. I would put the Knicks slightly ahead of the Sixers right now. I mean, Perk, for me, it's about matchups.
I mean, listen, you're not wrong, but here's the thing about the Knicks. And look, I love the Knicks. I love Tom Thibodeau. I won a championship with him. I know how I feel about big body Bronson. We know what Josh Hart and those guys are going to bring to the table. But losing Isaiah Hartenstein was huge for the New York Knicks. And I understand they still got big Mitchell Robinson, one of the best rebounders in the game when he's healthy. Also a great lob threat at the basket. But sometimes I worry about his IQ for the game of basketball. Isaiah Hartenstein is one of the brilliant minds in the game when it comes to the center position. He knows his role to the T. He has an excellent IQ in the half-court sets. You could run your offense through him because he knows how to run dribble handoffs. He knows how to make the backdoor passes, things to that nature. And I want to see, how does Julius Randle fit? Because he was, you remember, they went through the whole half of the second half of the season and the postseason without Julius. Will he come back? Will he sacrifice? Can Tom Thibodeau at times play him at the 5 position? Those are the things I need to see. But right now, when I look at Joel Embiid, and if I had to take any player out of all those guys between the 76ers and the Knicks, he's the best player. He's arguably the best player in the league when he's healthy.
And Doggy, the only thing, and Perk's right on it, but you look at PG and you look at Joel Embiid, will that knee and will the injuries, will they be available when it comes to playoffs?
Well, I would think George would be. Embiid's the guy you got to be concerned about. Yeah. I know George had a lot of injuries too, but I think Embiid, he played 43 games last year. He was on one leg against the Knicks. Can he withstand a long season where he plays, let's say, 60, 65 games, and then play 4 rounds in the playoffs? Yeah. And the Knicks are bang, bruise, and all those things. That's a hard series for them. It's close, and the Sixers have gotten better than the Knicks have. I still think the Knicks are a touch better. I'll take the Knicks. I do like Connect. I think he's going to be a very good NBA player, but you can't say yes. They made a run at Hurley. He said no.
Right.
They didn't look. The offer was very punitive for a guy who's that good a head coach. They didn't handle the Jerry West thing well at all. They let the Clippers announce it, and that was a disaster. I didn't like that. And, Jeannie Buss telling us that West is not a top 5 Laker of all time. Really? He brought basketball to L.A., for crying out loud. But I didn't like that. And then, of course, in this scenario, listen, they brought LeBron back. Good. You like to know that, yeah, it's good. Connect will help. Bronny was there because of LeBron. JJ will probably be a good coach. He's the second choice, not the first choice. And that conference, certainly Oklahoma City got better. They were number one. They were highs. They were the 1 seed.
Minnesota.
Then who they
Dallas
just signed?
got tremendously better.
Dallas got Thompson. Then Minnesota just signed somebody. They made the trade.
They made the trade.
The Dillingham from.
Plus Shannon from Illinois.
Who's going to be good
Yeah.
now that his legal issues are taken care of.
Well, yeah, that's over with.
From that standpoint, I think the Lakers are not nearly as good, and I think they've had a very shaky 3 or 4 weeks.
I think when you look at, first of all, I'm glad you brought up the West thing. I mean, a 2-sentence statement.
Oh, that was terrible.
Absolutely.
They did a terrible job.
Absurd.
Terrible.
It's ridiculous. Secondly, I don't know how you can possibly say that they've had a successful offseason. You're right about Connect. He's going to help them. And what do they need? They need shooting. Connect can shoot. It's going to help. That's great. It's not turning the Lakers into a top 6 team. And I really have a lot more trouble believing that the Lakers are actually a playoff team as opposed to a team that is fighting to get in the play-in again. And they may fall short this time because I don't know how I can count on somebody like Anthony Davis to be able to play that same amount of games again at 31 years old now. We're getting further down the line. There's not I don't know how much tread's left on the tire. He's got enough left. Don't get me wrong. He's still a very, very good player. But how do I expect him to stay healthy when for the years leading up to this, that hasn't been the case? I'm operating more on history than anything else. And this is what history tells me. And with LeBron, it's successful for him. He got his kid on the team. He got basically everything he wanted. He got the coach he wanted. He got everything he wanted. But if he wants to win, they're not winning anytime soon. Like, this whole idea that, all right, last year they should have gone out and traded a draft pick or two, was that putting them over the top to win a championship last year? I know what we can talk about when it comes to, being in the conference finals a couple of years ago and a bad draw this past year with the Nuggets. Doesn't matter. You're not that great of a team, and you're not a true title contender when everybody else in the West is getting better right now, and you're relying on Dalton Connect to be a difference maker.
Perk, has it been a successful offseason?
It hasn't, but it hasn't been an off season for them. I mean, Chris, you and Mad Dog, y'all keep tossing out there that the Lakers are not a top 6 team right now in the Western Conference. Can y'all name me 6 teams that are better than them?
I mean,
can y'all name me 6 teams that are better than them?
If I'm looking at the Western Conference right now, I have no problem telling you the Nuggets are absolutely better. Oklahoma City is absolutely better.
Dallas is better.
Dallas, no question.
Minnesota's
better. Minnesota is absolutely better.
Pelicans, you think?
Pelicans are borderline.
Got to see it.
Am I going to sit there where the Clippers in the mix right now? They lost Paul George. It hurts a lot.
Well, let's make them 5th best.
Yeah.
That's not the end of the world.
All
Let's
right,
make
listen,
them 5th best.
Point is, though, Perk, I mean, this is a team that while they won, 47, 48 games this past year, I don't expect them to all of a sudden get a whole lot better and be a team that is going to contend at the top of that conference when those teams up top have gotten markedly better here.
It's only 2 teams really made powerful moves this offseason in the Western Conference, okay? It was the Oklahoma City Thunder getting Alex Caruso and then getting Isaiah Hartenstein, and then you had the Dallas Mavericks getting Klay Thompson. Outside of that, tell me another team that got better or made.
I think Minnesota got better.
You
I think Minnesota got better with Dillingham.
But we got to see it. You can't just put all your eggs in one basket and depend on the rookie when we haven't seen him on the NBA level. I think he's going to come in off the bench and produce some great minutes for them. But again, we have to see it. We don't know what he could do on the NBA level. And let's talk about the Denver Nuggets. Are we sure they're one of the top teams in the West right now?
Sure.
I mean, damn it, hold on, hear me out. They lost Bruce Brown, who they realized this postseason was a crucial piece to their success, along with Jeff Green, who was coming in off the bench. They just lost KCP, one of the ultimate 3-and-D guys, to the Orlando Magic. Who are they? Like, who's filling in those blanks? Okay, and then if you want to go down the line and look at the Clippers right now, I mean, they're a disaster. I don't know how Lawrence Frank still has his job. To be honest with you, you give up SGA, who was arguably a top 5 player in the league right now, and 5 draft picks. One of those draft picks happened to be Jalen Williams, and you lose Paul George for nothing in the offseason. And who do you bring back? Who do you go and get? Derrick Jones Jr., Kevin Porter Jr. I'm not throwing slight and saying that these guys are some scrubs. They could play. Both of those guys, in my opinion, are elite role players. You know, one could argue that Kevin Porter Jr. at times is knocking at the door of being an all-star caliber player. But when I'm looking at the Western Conference right now, it's only 3 teams that I'm actually saying that are better than the Lakers are right now. And that's Minnesota, Oklahoma City, and Dallas. So they are a top 5 team in the West.
Wanna try to boast at what I look like. Keep them going, try to wear, I pull up long range. Jimmy with the heat, I'm on fire. It's NBA over here,